across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening, I'm Mr. Andrew Windsor. Prince Andrew has just, well, it seems that he's about to relinquish all of his royal titles, and about time too. We'll talk about that in just a little while. But in the meantime, good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be your host for the next 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 10 o'clock. Get involved, get stuck in and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Friday, October the 17th. Here's what's coming up. The shock, arguably anti-Semitic ban on Israeli football fans attending Maccabi Tel Aviv's away Europa League match against Aston Villa remains in place. But after Keir Starmer branded the block on Jewish fans the wrong decision, Downing Street is reported to be working on persuading West Midlands police chiefs to change their minds. If there's any decency left in this country, let us for once wish the Prime Minister every success in this crucial endeavour. Meanwhile, it has emerged that Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood knew about the ban a week ago, but the real finger of blame for what has been branded an act of pure anti-Semitism points at the Pakistani-born Muslim MP Ayub Khan. Mr. Khan, an independent whom critics call the member for Gaza, got up a petition to stop Jews coming to Villa Park. In fairness, he's a local whose Perry Bar constituency encompasses Villa Park. But why is the other name on the top of the petition Magic Grandpa Jeremy Corbyn? Why is the former disastrous Labour leader and member for Islington North in London suddenly interested in possible football fan violence in Birmingham? Or is the Palestine obsessive who has been linked with inveterate anti-Semitism for his entire political career just keen on banning Jews? I'm only asking. You decide. 0344 499 1000. Jeremy Corbyn, you are an utter disgrace. In other news, after our exclusive report last night on the primary school where asylum seekers gather every day, upsetting the kids and worrying parents, I'll talk to one of the mothers set to stage a peaceful protest tomorrow, and I'll speak to a child safety campaigner who says the close proximity of asylum seeker hotels to schools is a growing source of concern and worry. 0344 499 1000. Plus, more madness as this gormless government's failure to tackle the escalating migrant crisis goes from bad to worse to a total sick joke. Also tonight, Labour Today stands accused of cynically exploiting military veterans by handing them digital ID cards to give them access to charities, public services and retail discounts. A spectacle at which we're all supposed to reel back in wonder at just how fantastic Starmer's freedom-crushing plans to turn Britain into a Papers, Please dystopia really are. Forget it, Keir. Stick your brick cards where the sun don't shine. What would you tell Two-Tier to do with his hated cards? 0344 499 1000. And then from 8 to 9, I'm with my Friday friend, political strategist Pete Barnes. It's called Kev and Pete, or Pete and Kev, whatever you want to say. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. We'll take your calls for the entire hour. And then at 9 o'clock, of course, it's my fantastic TV show, What Just Happened. But in the meantime, all that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday night together. And welcome, Pete, to Political political strategist, here with me in the studio, as always, on a Friday. Well, let's first of all, we're going to talk, we broke this big story last night about a school to the west of London, near Heathrow Airport, called the Cherry Lane Primary School. Where it's very close to a migrant hotel, an asylum seeker hotel, and the migrants go under this underpass which goes under the M4, and they just gather outside this school. So we spoke to parents who were concerned and said, well, you know, have you got any videos? Yeah, we'll send you some video. The video was just astonishing, like hundreds of them smoking sheesh pipes and things like this. So the parents tomorrow will stage, we're just looking at the video now, the parents tomorrow will stage a peaceful protest against what's going on there. No one's saying that any of these asylum seekers are committing crimes or anything like that, but there's something very disconcerting and alarming about them gathering. These are kids, 640 kids at this school, between the ages of... Look at that, smoking a sheesh pipe, for God's sake. It just doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't. It makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's akin to what's been going on outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, where parents are similarly concerned about their kids. Everybody said, oh, this is racist. Well, yeah, well, guess what? One of the asylum seekers staying at the Bell Hotel has just been sentenced to a year in jail for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old schoolgirl. So let's not run away with all that racism rubbish, eh? These parents have got a case, they've got a point, and it's genuine and it's justified. So we'll talk about that in just a little while. We'll also talk to a child safety campaigner about the growing problem of the proximity, the close proximity of these hotels, many of these hotels, to schools. It's concerning and it's worrying parents all over the country. But first up, I think we better start, Pete, on the Aston Villa situation. This story broke while we were on air last night and our switchboard exploded. I want to first of all say, here's to the Aston Villa fans. What fantastic fans they are. Most of the calls that I had immediately were from Aston Villa fans saying how disgusted and appalled they were by this ban on Israeli fans supporting Maccabi Tel Aviv coming to the Europa League game against Aston Villa on November the 6th. This was a decision made by the West Midland Police and the Birmingham Council Safety Advisory Board,
SAG group,
whatever the hell that is, and Aston Villa. Now, to some extent, we can partially exonerate Aston Villa. It's difficult for them to say, well, the police say we can't keep these fans safe. It's hard, you know, it's impossible. Right? Aston Villa say, well, never mind what you say, we're going ahead with the game. However, I do feel that Aston Villa, the football club, I mean, by the way, West Midland Police, to use a football analogy, raise your game. You say you can't guarantee the safety. Well, it's your job to guarantee the safety. Jewish fans should have the right to come and support their team, and it's your job to ensure that they are able to do that. It is simple as that. And if you don't, this is a really, really important point, a turning point perhaps in British history, where we as a country officially say that Jewish people in this country are not safe. We can't allow this to happen. So West Midland Police, change your goddamn minds and do it soon. And this safety board from Birmingham Council.
It's actually quite an important group, this, because the intelligence they look at includes counter-terrorism. This actual actionable intelligence and live intelligence. So it's branded a gold, silver, bronze.
You know, they might be an important group, but in this circumstance, they're absolutely wrong.
We don't know.
I think the decision is anti-Semitic.
I actually think it's actually more to do with saving their skin and being more of an image reputation thing. Because if they say this could go ahead and then an incident happens, they get blamed for it.
All right, Pete, but if it was Palestine United, let me tell you, they'd let them come. They'd let them come.
I completely agree with that.
We all know what this is about, and it must be stopped. Keir Starmer, for once in his life, is absolutely right. This is the wrong decision. We're hearing now that Downing Street, to its credit, is working very hard on changing the West Midland Police's mind. So it looks as if this might be overturned. But what I want to know is this. This is partly down to the local MP, Ayub Khan. He's the MP for Perry Barr, which encompasses Villa Park. He got together. He's a Muslim. He's Pakistan-born, used to be in the Lib Dems, now independent. One of those MPs they kind of call the MP for Gaza. Yeah. Know what I'm saying? He got together a petition to try to ban the Jews from coming to Birmingham. It's been successful. He's celebrating it all day. We'll play some video of him talking about his triumph in a little while. So, you know, I hate what he's done. I hate what he's done. And I think that, you know, you might think he's an anti-Semite. I couldn't possibly comment, if you know what I'm saying. But... OK, in fairness, he's the MP for the local area, so at least he's got skin in the game.
Yes, that's fair.
Why is the other name at the top of this petition, the other launcher of this petition, Jeremy bloody Corbyn? He's the MP for Islington North in London. We put in a request to his office, a question. We said, you know, why is it that all of a sudden, you know, Jeremy Corbyn is interested in the issue of potential football fan violence in Birmingham? You know, why is this? Why is this? Now, again, you have to say, this is an MP, this is a politician who throughout his lengthy career, he's been an MP now for 375 years, and in all that time he's always been closely linked with inveterate anti-Semitism. It's why he lost the leadership of the Labour Party. He refused to accept that he was in any way presided over anti-Semitism. Well, he might have refused to accept it, but he did. But he did. He encouraged it. He always says, oh, it's just Israel that I have a problem with. It's not Jewish people at all. I'm not an anti-Semite. OK, he says he's not an anti-Semite. But you might think he's lying. You might think he's an inveterate Jew hater. I, of course, as an independent presenter of a radio TV show, couldn't possibly comment. Let me know what you think about it. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace that this man has lent his name to this petition. 0344 499 1000. So give us a call. Let us know what you think about all this. We better get on to... well, OK, let's just play a little bit of... this is Ayub Khan talking about his petition.
Many residents have raised concerns about the football match, which is due to take place on the 6th of November. Maccabi Tel Aviv. We've all seen those harrowing images from Amsterdam. I've started a petition to boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv. There is no space for violence or any thugs to come into Aston or indeed Birmingham. That is why I urge everyone to sign up to this petition. Boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv.
And I'm going to break off from this story now because this is very important breaking news. The Sun tomorrow on its front page will have that Prince Andrew is about to relinquish his titles, Duke of York, HRH, etc. That has now been confirmed in the last few minutes. Prince Andrew, a statement from Prince Andrew has confirmed that he is in discussion with the King and my immediate and wider family. We have concluded the continuing accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my... Can you believe this stuff? I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and my country first. I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel... What do you mean, we? Yeah. I think it means we feel I must now go to a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title, or the honours which have been conferred upon me. As I have said previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me. Thank you, Mr. Windsor, but you vigorously deny the accusations against me, so why are you doing this? That would be my question. I'm still wondering, I don't know what you think, but I'm still wondering, since you vigorously deny the accusations of Virginia Giuffre, God rest her soul, recently committed suicide. Think about that, folks, for a while, if you will. Poor lady. Since you vigorously deny her allegations that you sexually abused her on 3 continents, why did you give her $12 million not to go to civil court in America? Why did you do that? If you deny it, if you didn't do it, why did you give her $12 million? Why are you now giving up your titles? I assume, it doesn't actually specifically say this, but I assume this means he is going to stop being the Duke of York, which will be a great joy for the people of York. It will be a great joy for all the pubs called the Duke of York, many of whom have been furious about this. The people of York, the city of York, have not wanted to be associated with this oaf of a man for a long, long time. So I'm assuming from now on, he hasn't been HRH for a while. He's not His Royal Highness anymore. He's not the Duke of York anymore. I believe I'm right in saying that we cannot divest him of being called Prince Andrew. But let's just call him Mr. Windsor from now on. In fact, not the Mr. Let's just call him Windsor. Windsor. Hey, Windsor! What are you doing in that car? You know, you keep seeing these pictures of him driving around. Where are you going in your Range Rover on the back of those horses? You know, with his hat on. You know, I mean, what is he doing? So this is a big story. So please, let me know what you think about this. We've had to break off from another very big story. Aston Villa is huge, but sometimes royal events do take precedence. This is massive. You know, and you know how. Pete, how relieved are we that he's finally done the right thing?
Yeah, finally. And I think it's more he's been pushed into it rather than done it voluntarily. I think that's my big problem with it. He hasn't seen the issue. But his titles they're held in abeyance. Basically, they're on pause more than anything because, like you said, we can't strip him from being called Prince Andrew because of the rules of the titles and all this kind of stuff, which I think is just nonsense. The guy doesn't deserve any of the privileges, clearly. And for me, just go away. Just leave us alone. He's tormented this country enough. And, you know, it's just exhausting.
The straw that broke the camel's back, which was already very kind of... But the final straw that broke the already very broken camel's back was last weekend when the Mail on Sunday, I think it was, and I believe the Sun on Sunday, they did it together. I do believe I'm right there. They revealed this email that he sent to Jeffrey Epstein long after he told Emily Maitlis in that disastrous interview that he'd cut off all contact. And not only had he not cut off all contact, he actually said to Jeffrey Epstein, this was on the day that one of the papers published that picture of him with his arm round Virginia Giuffre, which he lyingly said, oh, that was a fake picture. It wasn't. It wasn't. On the day that happened, he emailed Epstein and said, oh, no, we must rise above this. We're in this together. Soon we will play again. It's creepy.
The way they talk to each other is
disgusting.
Awful. I remember in the Peter Mandelson thing, they used the phrase yum yum and all that. I was like, what is wrong with you people? It's perverse.
But remember, the point about this is this was sometime after he told Emily Maitlis that he went to New York and cut off all contact. That was a lie. And I think that was the end of the game, the end of the line for this awful man who has brought shame and disgrace on the royal family. In other news, Prince Beatrice and Prince Eugenie will retain their titles. Why should the sins of the father be visited on them? And don't forget that his former wife, the Duchess of York, who I assume now is no longer the Duchess of York, she too disgracefully kept up her contact with Jeffrey Epstein long after she knew that he was a convicted paedophile. So that couple, Andrew and Fergie, what a disgrace! What a excuse!
I know.
Of a couple they
and he
are.
still lives in the. He'll still be living in the lodge as well. Because it's owned by the Crown Estate, you know. It's just
well,
horrific.
it's just because he has a cast iron rental deal.
Yeah.
You know, he has a cast iron lease. I don't care where he lives.
Just,
I don't care where he lives.
I do think we need to tidy up the law to be able to actually strip people of titles and actually pull this stuff off people, because it is still the privilege. You know, the paperwork is still there, if you know what I mean. He's not got all the kind of all the letters to be used, but it's still there, and it's not right because it's still representative of the British people, in my opinion, and I think it needs to be removed, and I mean removed.
Yeah, and you can tell that this is the King and Prince William working very hard.
Very hard.
To, if you like, cut out this cancer.
Yeah.
That was infecting the royal family. It's not their fault that this guy has no idea how to behave. So, yes, he has lost his title of the Duke of York, and he's also been removed from the Order of the Garter. He's not HRH. Frankly, he's just Randy Andy now. That's it. So we had to break off from the Aston Villa story, but I think you got the gist of it. We'll come back to it later in the show. But we're going to go to break now. Let me know what you think about Prince Andrew. I do think it's a significant moment. Perhaps we'll try and get somebody royal or a royal connection on to talk about this. And when we come back, though, last night we, as I was saying in my monologue, we broke this story of the problems being experienced by the kids and the parents at a school called the Cherry Lane Primary School to the west of London, a place called West Drayton. Just across the M4, it's near the M4 near Heathrow Airport, is a huge 600-room Holiday Inn. Many of those rooms are occupied by asylum seekers, and they, in the day, of course, they're all mostly young men. They go through this underground pedestrian path, and then they come out right next to the school, and they just hang around there because there's lots of grass and seats. We'll show you some video. We showed it last night. I mean, it's quite astonishing. Hundreds of them, and then people smoking sheesh pipes, kids in the playground in the background. Tomorrow there'll be a protest by the parents, a peaceful protest. We're going to talk to one of the mums. Last night we talked to a dad of a former pupil there, James Timms. But after the break we'll talk to a mum, and we're going to talk to a long-time child safety campaigner as well. So that next.
I'm not defending football hooliganism and disruption, tips into violence. That's a really bad thing, and that's happened, sadly, for decades, for hundreds of years around competitive sport in our country. But this is a much darker situation. What's really happened here is that West Midlands Police have listened to parts of the community in places like Aston and Handsworth and have come to the view that they cannot protect Jewish people on the streets of those neighbourhoods.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, we'll go to an important story, but I've got one more right now, but very important story, seriously. But I've got one more question about Andrew. Well, you know, quite right, he's dropped all of his titles. He's been forced to give up all of his titles. He's not the Duke of York anymore. By the way, he's also the Earl of Inverness. I assume he's not that anymore. He's no longer His Royal Highness. Why do we have to still call him Prince Andrew? You know, why? This guy should be reduced to a commoner. You know, really, really, enough of this, enough of this. Stop inflicting this guy on us. He's Mr. Windsor, Andrew Windsor. That's it. That's it. No more of this Prince crap. Yes? Let me know what you think. We shouldn't honour this man at all. If we're going to call him Prince Andrew, it is a sort of a lofty title. Oh, Prince Andrew. No! No! Not the paedophile's friend. No more Prince. What do you think? 03444991000. Sorry, I digress, because we do have to do an important story, but we will keep you running with this story throughout the night. It's a big event on the royal family, and you sense this isn't Andrew coming to this decision out of a sense of decency. This is the king. This is Prince William saying, you better do it, and you better do it now. And they're right. For the sake of the royal family's integrity, he had to go. No more Prince, that's what I say. I assume, by the way, that, of course, Fergie, equally low life, to be honest with you. She's a scumbag too. She just is. She just is. She proved it the other week. She's no longer, I assume, the Duchess of York. So she's Mrs. Ferguson or Mrs. Windsor or whatever the hell she wants to call herself. Let me know what you think about this. 03444991000. Sorry to harp on, but I do think we have to concentrate on this story. And the reason I'm sorry is because this is a very important story too. It's a story we broke last night about Cherry Lane Primary School, a school to the west of London, a place called West Drayton, near Heathrow Airport. It's just north of the M4 motorway. And just across the motorway is a massive Holiday Inn with 600 rooms, huge thing. Motorists who go up and down the M4, there it is, you'll recognise it. I could picture it the moment I heard the name. There's a walkway underneath the motorway, and all the migrants, the asylum seekers stay in there. They wander under that walkway, and then they gather outside this school. Tomorrow there will be a protest by the parents who are sick to death of seeing these people, these men, mostly young men, just upsetting their kids. Nobody's saying these guys have committed any crimes, but there's something wrong about all this. Let's warm welcome to the show to a mother of one of the kids at this school, Leah Mosey. Are you there, Leah? Hello, Leah.
I am.
Thanks for joining us. And also Marilyn Hawes, who's the CEO of Freedom from Abuse, a long-time campaigner for child safety, particularly against sexual abuse. So if I can come to you first, Leah, good luck with your protest tomorrow. But we showed the video last night, some of the videos, which your friend James Timms, another former parent, we're looking at it now. And the scale of it seems shocking. I mean, so many of these guys being escorted here by special constabulary police officers, and then we saw some pictures of, I mean, you know, I suppose this isn't against the law, but there's something quite perturbing about seeing two sort of Middle Eastern guys sitting outside your kid's school smoking a sheesh pipe. So tell me, well, try to, there they are. Try to explain to me what your concerns are about what we're looking at here.
So for me personally, I wasn't really aware of this situation too much. It wasn't until one day I was at a sports day at my kid's school, and there was a man peering over the fence. And so I obviously turned around, and there was a guy driving past, and he was shouting at this guy, telling him to get down. You shouldn't be doing that. He was using some colourful words, I'm not going to lie. So then after the event had finished, I emailed the school and I said to them, look, I hope you're aware of this. You know, parents need to be told and informed.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that. And then when I spoke to other parents about it, they basically said, yeah, there's immigrants in the hotel and they constantly do that. They're always there, hanging around the fence, looking through. So that was that, basically.
And also, Leah, as I say, we saw these videos because I spoke to James yesterday morning and then he sent us the videos. I couldn't believe the scale of it. I mean, there's loads of them.
Yeah.
Walking there every
There's
day through this tunnel. Lots and lots of them, right?
Yeah, my daughter is actually afraid now. I have 3 children at Cherry Lane. My daughter is 7. And when we walk up to local shops and there's groups of men walking behind us, she always says, Mummy, Mummy, slow down. I don't want to walk up there. Yeah.
My God. I mean, that's terrible. You got 3 kids at that school because it's quite a big school, isn't it? 640 kids. And they're afraid for this. And so that obviously makes you very concerned. You're not alone in this. Now, as I say, I'm trying to stress here, I'm not accusing these guys of committing crimes, but there's something wrong, is there not, about hundreds of young men gathering around a primary school, peering over the fence, smoking sheesh pipes. This doesn't make the kids feel comfortable, does it?
No, and there's benches opposite the school as well. And, you know, there'll be groups of men sitting on the benches, drinking, leaving rubbish and things like that there as well.
Right. And you said you've been in... What has the school's reaction been to your complaints?
None, really.
Not much, I'm gathering.
No, and it's not just me, it's other parents as well. So we're part of we've got a group chat for Cherry Lane parents.
Yeah.
And me and other concerned parents, we were emailing every single day, asking them, like, what are you going to do about this? We don't want to send our children in. A number of parents actually stopped sending their children to school. One of my friends didn't send their children back for 3 weeks.
You're kidding.
No.
That is so bad, isn't it? I mean, I want to stress it here, Leah, that we here at Talk yesterday, we have reached out to the school and said, you know, what are you doing about this? What do you think about this? We've received no response.
Do you know, I am sorry to cut in. I picked up my kids from school today and there was actually police outside the school today.
Yeah, and I understand that because James, his daughter used to go to the school, but he's the guy who took it upon himself to go and repair the fences so that these guys couldn't leer in at the kids anymore. But he was saying that 3 weeks ago there were kind of coppers stationed at the school gates. I mean, this whole scenario, it's a dystopian. There's something wrong about this, that you've got coppers having to come to a school to protect kids or to make kids feel safe with all these sort of young men, you know, from foreign countries. And I'm trying hard not to particularly blame them. They've got nothing else to do. But, you know, they walk through this underpass, they gather...
Even if you have nothing else to do, you wouldn't go...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry, you're right and I'm wrong. Well, listen, so we are, Leah. Thanks so much for joining us, by the way. And let's bring in Marilyn Hawes. She's the CEO of Freedom from Abuse, a veteran campaigner for child safety. Marilyn, we have a growing problem, I think, around the country because what's happening at Cherry Lane Primary School mirrors what's been happening up in Epping around the Bell Hotel. The parents in that Essex town worried about their kids because that hotel too is quite close to the local school. We have a growing problem around the country. The more of these asylum seekers who come to the country and are billeted around the land, there's a real problem when they're close to schools, isn't there?
Well, of course there is. I mean, it's outrageous, and I agree. We're not saying any of them are what they may or may not be, but it is singularly weird to actually, if you've got nothing else to do, hang around a primary school and peer through the railings. I mean, it's just not on. It should be a no.
You're right about that, Marilyn. That's a good point.
You know, really? I mean, that for me, I am an innocent mother of 3 sexually abused children, as you know, so I am very passionate about this. I am honoured to be speaking at their protest tomorrow. Now, I don't get involved in protests. I have my own silent ones, and I get involved with the media. That's the way to do it. And I thank you for what you've done to this, for this group. I'm in awe of what they've done. I totally support it. I am horrified about the school because I was a deputy head, and in that situation, is a large primary. It's probably got a 3-form entry. And why on earth were they waiting for a quote for this to be repaired? They must have a caretaker. There must be plenty of dads that could have got to it without leaving it to James Timms. You know, why didn't the head teacher galvanise some sort of action? As a deputy head, I'd have sorted that by the end of the first morning, and I would have called the police, and I would have got people out there. And because that's what I think what James and this group have done, they have shown that people should be upstanders and not bystanders. And I really respect what they're doing. And they've made a great example of showing how well-minded, strong people that are passionate can create what they've done, a storm on the media. You know, so thank you for picking this up.
Well, look, it's an important story. But Leah, to go back to you, I'm discerning that you're unhappy with the response of the school. You've complained to them. They don't seem to have done anything. As Marilyn just said, there's holes in the fences. These asylum seekers appear to be climbing them up and leering at the kids through the school. And it was a dad of a former pupil who went to fix them himself because the school didn't do so. You're not happy with the school's response, right?
We did ask them. A number of parents asked them. It took them a couple of weeks to, you know, actually pull their fingers out and go and get the quote. So,
but a quote is not fixing it, is it? 2 weeks to get a quote and they didn't fix it. So James went and did it himself. I'm gonna have to go. No, absolutely great work by him. I'm gonna have to go now, but quickly, Leah, tell us about tomorrow's protest. What's happening?
Well, it's just a peaceful demonstration. We're going to hopefully give some information out on the hotels, the things that have been happening around the town. And then afterwards, we're going to have a community event where all families and children are welcome. And it should be a fun day. Yeah,
it's a fun day, peaceful protest and an important protest.
And what they've done, Gavin, they've done is they're doing it intelligently. They're doing it calmly. They're not crashing around being verbally abusive.
Of course.
They are doing it in an intelligent, clever way, and I really applaud them. And the police should have got their arse in gear a long time ago, because
if you can put it that way.
I'm sorry,
that's all right.
It is free speech, you know, and I am so angry about this situation, and it's across the country, and you know, I just don't understand. As a former deputy head, how a school can ignore you, ignore the parents. You know, where are the governors? The governors, Leah, the governors have a legal fiduciary duty to care. And their neck is on the line if anything happens to one of these children. And I know how that feels. Where's the Director of Education in this? Where's the LADO, the Local Authority Designated Officer? The LADO should be involved in kicking their backsides. I mean, I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm angry. I am going to get behind this, I'm telling you.
Well, good. Well, look, good for you, Marilyn. Thank you so much for talking to us. And Leah, good luck with tomorrow, and we'll keep in touch. And thank you very much for talking to us, both of you. That was Marilyn Hawes, the CEO of Freedom from Abuse, and Leah Mosley, mother of 3 kids at Cherry Lane Primary School. Well, make of that what you will. It's extraordinary, isn't it? You saw the video, sheesh pipes, hundreds of them. Leah just explaining, leering over the fences. The school says, oh yeah, we'll repair the fence. And then they send out for a quote. 2 weeks later, they're still waiting for the quote. So the guy we spoke to last night, who's the parent of a dad of a former pupil there, just went and did it himself. I mean, this is outrageous, isn't it? Let me know what you think. 03444991000. We'll go to break. We'll be back in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, we're going to, after that extraordinary story about the school to the west of London, do get on the phone and tell me what you think about that. Yeah, I mean, that is just astonishing, isn't it? Shocking, I would say. Yeah, hundreds of these migrants, these young asylum seeker men, just gathering outside this primary school, really worrying the mums and the kids. Police apparently not doing much about it, although they were clearly around today and have been seen in the past. You saw some of the video there. The school, we've contacted them, don't seem to be doing anything about it at all. 03444991000. But let's get back now to the big breaking news of the day. That is that Prince Andrew, the former Duke of York, has relinquished all of his titles. We assume that means that Fergie too will no longer be the Duchess of York. He was the Earl of Inverness. I assume he loses that as well. This is a seismic event in royal history, and who better to comment on it than we've got him on the phone. You know, we're having to do this on the Who, for you understand. Royal commentator, former BBC royal correspondent, of course, Michael Cole. Michael, welcome to the show. Long time. How are you?
Fantastic, Kevin. But on a momentous night, very chastening night for the royal family, a very dangerous night indeed. This is seismic. I cannot think of a precedent. My memory doesn't go back to the Middle Ages, although I'm quite old now. Yeah. And I can't think of an... That is just a measure of how serious the whole thing is for the royal family and, of course, for the now ex-Duke of York and presumably the ex-Duchess of York, Sarah, Duchess of York. I can't help thinking, Kevin, back to 1986, what is that, nearly 40 years ago, 39 years ago, the first television interview, the first interview they ever did on the day of their engagement, how happy and how contented they were in their own company, and how
far they've fallen now.
Extraordinary.
Now, you said, Michael, if I just interrupt for a second, you said just then, a seismic moment, but a dangerous moment for the royal family. I mean, this is I would say you could interpret this as an emergency rescue job for the royal family, because Prince Andrew, in this deepening scandal involving Jeffrey Epstein, was bringing them down, wasn't it? So I am speculating, probably accurately, that the King and Prince William must have said to Andrew, for the sake of the British royal family, you must do the decent thing. Would you say that that's a fair interpretation of what has just been going on?
I think there have been some very interesting, heartfelt and perhaps contentious conversations that have been undertaken between the ex-Duke of York, brother, the King, to get to this particular point. Prince Andrew sounds as that he's giving up his royal title, saying that the continued accusation may distract from the work of the royal family. Well, I think that's certainly true in spades. He also says that he has decided to put my duty to my family and country first by giving up his royal titles and honours. That is unprecedented. I can't think of another occasion. But that is of how serious the whole matter has been for the royal family. And it's just not one scandal, it's scandal after scandal, and the stakes have been higher and higher and higher, added to which, among some other very exalted people, he wasn't alone, he had 3 million and to be the head of the China spy ring in this country, which of course is very much in the news.
That hasn't helped, has it, the last couple of days?
It hasn't helped at all, and also the discovery of emails which showed that he was in contact and indeed supporting and writing grovelling memos to.
I think Michael, that was the end of the line. The revelations last weekend that he lied to Emily Maitlis in that interview, saying that he cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and then this email emerges that after that he actually not only got in touch with him, emailed him, said, we're in this together, let's rise above it and we'll soon play again. Meanwhile, of course, Fergie, the ex-Duchess of York, I assume she is now, also kept up contact with Jeffrey Epstein. And so, frankly, you knew Prince Andrew, obviously. I don't know how well you knew Fergie, but I mean, there's something. He's not a decent man, is he?
Well, we have to look back, and when you think about the time he got married, he was very highly regarded.
We loved him, didn't we? We loved him then, yes.
Indeed, he was always there. He was the Queen's favourite child. Whether that was true or not, it was certainly widely believed. He came back from the Falklands War, where he'd served as a helicopter pilot on HMS Invincible. Yeah. I think it was on Invincible he was, and he discharged his duty. And we all saw the photograph at Portsmouth. The Queen went down to greet them all, and there he was with a red rose between ample teeth, smiling at the world. And of course, he was very, very highly regarded, and all the goodwill was with them, because when they got married, it was quite clearly a love match. They didn't have to be coaxed to kiss on the balcony. They were ready for it, yeah. And he gave her a smacker, and they were happily married.
So, Michael, look, increasingly over the past few years, Prince Andrew has emerged as a very pompous man, full of himself, without much of a moral compass. How will he be feeling today? Because he, more than, I know this much, more than any other member of the royal family, he was enamoured of his own VIP status, of his titles, his importance. Now that that has all gone, how will he be feeling?
Well, I think he'll be feeling fairly low tonight. He remains, of course, a prince of the realm. He was the son of the late monarch, and that won't change. Else has changed. I think he will want to stay on at the Royal Lodge. It always has the definitive article at the Royal Lodge. He has a long lease, I think 75 years.
Yeah, I don't think you can get him out of there, yeah.
No, the King might have wanted him to leave, obviously he won't. And his life will continue to carry on, whether it's on the golf course or...
I think it will be on the golf course, you know. Yeah. Well, I think he'll get his handicap down now because he won't have anything else to do. But listen, Michael, it's good to talk to you again in sad circumstances, but excellent to get your expert view on what's happened. And thank you so much for your time. That is Michael Cole, royal commentator, former BBC royal correspondent, a man who knows the royal family well and knew Andrew well. He was there, right there, when Andrew was in his pomp, when he marrying, you know, coming back from the Falklands, marrying Fergie. This guy, Prince Andrew. I mean, if you talk in terms of how far someone can fall, it's hard to imagine anyone could fall further than this man. This is it. And I say, to hell with him. I say, you know, why do we have to still call him a prince? Why? Why is that? You know, kind of, oh, you can take away anything, but he's still a prince. No. Why? He deserves this. He deserves this. He's a liar, an oaf, and allegedly a sexual predator. He denies that. But why did he give Virginia Giuffre $12 million not to go to court? Why would he do that if he is innocent of those charges? That's what we want to know. He's still maintaining his innocence. We'll go to break now. We'll come back in a second. Stay where you are.
One thing that I think that one concern that people do have is about, you know, the wider capability of espionage that comes from the super embassy, right? And that's on these alleged cables, which...
You cannot protest and say that you want these people deported without that.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to go to the news fairly soon. The show's all over the place tonight because we are encompassing the big royal story that Prince Andrew is basically now, if he's lucky, Mr. Windsor. I keep asking, what do you think, Pete? Why do we still have to call him Prince?
It's because it's the bloodline, so he can't...
I don't care about the bloodline.
I completely agree with you, but the only way you can actually remove a title... So this is what's happened, is the king has instructed Andrew, I'm not going to call him Prince, but he instructed Andrew to stop using Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, and he's also the Baron of Killyleagh, which is in Northern Ireland as well.
Is he?
Yeah, he is,
The Baron of Killyleagh.
Yeah, so he's not allowed to use those, but the only way you can strip a title is through an Act of Parliament. It's the Titles of Deprivation Act in 1917. The last time it was used was to stop people who were sided with the Nazis. It's the only time it's ever been used, and that's why it's there. And I agree with you. We should just scrap. He needs to give up the titles. He needs to give all of it up, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he's kind of done that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think the story here really is, you know, this is an epic level of disgrace.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
The kind of disgrace you very rarely witness. I can't remember anybody. I mean, I've been a journalist for, you know, way too long. And I've seen some people disgraced and shamed in their time. I've never seen anything like this. And by the way, it goes for his awful wife, too,
yes,
who's
on that
also
one,
a liar.
Her title is Courtesy. If they don't, she can have that removed literally like that.
Well,
it's
so she's title. Not. She can't be the Duchess of York if he's not.
So
the
comma. So it means that she's divorced. So it's Sarah Ferguson, comma, Duchess of York.
Yeah, but not anymore.
No, but that's me. But the title is Courtesy. It's nothing to do with the dukedom.
Yeah,
they allow her to use it.
But courtesy or not, it cannot exist.
No, but they've kind of made it up. They only invented it in 1986.
But that isn't, she still uses it on a headed notepaper.
But that's what I'm saying is they can stop her doing it.
But she can't now.
Yeah, but she isn't. But she's not the official Duchess.
But my point is, she can't even, as a courtesy, use that because she's no longer in any way, her after marital connection to Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Who was Duke of York?
They created the title formation.
That cannot carry on either. So both of them. You know, they're basically commoners now.
Yeah.
And as I say, well, let me know what you think, folks. Does he deserve this? Is there anything more we can do to him to rub his nose in it? Honestly, he so deserves this. He's a disgusting person. He's a liar. He's an oaf. He's well known to be pompous, and his wife is frankly even worse. You know, let me know what you think about them. 03444991000. It's the royal family I feel sorry for. They've had to exorcise him like cutting out a cancer. We'll be back after the news. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm going to take a call in a little while from Roy in Hampshire, who has sent me a message. He wants to talk to me. Stop slagging Prince Andrew off. He served his country. Well, Roy, I don't care. I don't care. He's a slime ball. Got it? Got it? I know a few things about what he did in the Falklands. I won't reveal them, but I know what he got up to in the Falklands. I just do. Because the guy I went to school with was in his helicopter. So, Roy, don't talk about what you don't know, OK? Let's go. We're talking, of course, about this seismic royal story, massive story. It's all over the front page of The Sun. It'll be over all the papers tomorrow. That Prince Andrew's already, of course, had to cease being a working royal. He is now... and had lost his ability to be called HRH, His Royal Highness, so he'd already lost that. Been a massive campaign, particularly from the people of York, and from lots and lots of pub landlords who have pubs called the Duke of York. They didn't want to be associated with him, but the city of York said, come on, come on. Anyway, he has now given up. He'd been forced to give up his title of the Duke of York, the Earl of Inverness as well. And what were you saying, Pete?
The Baron of Killyleagh.
The Baron of Killyleagh. I'll never get my head around that one. So he's had to give up all his titles, and you know, he has fallen about as far as a member of the royal family could fall, and of course he fully deserves it, because he lied. He kept up his friendship, his sordid, rancid friendship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who used to fly him to his island so that he could allegedly defile young women, including Virginia Raffay. He denies that. Who believes him? Not me, that's for sure. Let's talk to author and former Cabinet Minister Norman Baker. Welcome to the show, Norman. Thank you for joining us at short notice, obviously. I mean, this is a hell of a story, isn't it? This is a hell of a fall from grace. And frankly, let's be honest, Prince Andrew, I suppose we still have to call him Prince Andrew. Let's call him Mr. Windsor. He fully deserves this, doesn't he?
He does, and you mentioned the Epstein stuff, which is horrendous and extremely distasteful. But you know, there's more than that. There's the arrogance he's always shown to staff at Buckingham Palace and to the police who've been there to guard him. There's all the deals he did when he was trade envoy, not deals for Britain, but deals for himself, and the dodgy dictators he, cozied up to. You know, everything the man has done has been pretty distasteful for 20-odd years. And to pick up one of your callers, yes, he performed a military service in the Falklands. Don't take that away from him. But look, that was 45 years ago, and you can't live on that for the rest of your life.
Exactly right, Norman. Exactly right.
The man is arrogant. The man is not very bright. He's arrogant. He's distasteful. He puts himself and Fergie first, and everybody else second. He's been a disaster for the royal family. And what I would say about this is it's overdue. It's right that it's come. It's overdue. There is a technical point as to whether he can stop being called Duke, but actually is he no longer a Duke? Because I'm not quite sure how you should just resign yourself from an hereditary position, which is what the Duke of York is.
Yeah, that is an interesting technicality. But it's interesting what you just said, Norman. I mean, we're talking about Epstein. We're talking about his rather shady dealings with various Chinese businessmen, which some people say compromised the security of the state. But then let's talk about that period of time where the Queen wanted her favourite son to have a purpose in life, a mission in life, and it was agreed that he would become an envoy of this country, a trade envoy, travelling the world, allegedly forming good relations with various countries and bringing money into the country. Now, during that time, he earned the nickname Air Miles Andy, and he was notorious for only ever actually wanting to go to destinations that were close to good golf courses.
Exactly.
And frankly, and during that time when he was supposed to be working for Britain, for the state, we know what he was doing. He was cozying up to billionaires in places like Kazakhstan and making money for himself, lining his own pockets. That's what he was doing, wasn't he?
Exactly so. I mean, if you look at the places he went, and I've got a book coming out in a couple of weeks' time, or 3 weeks' time, I think it is, called Royal Mint National Debt, which looks at some of the money he's run up for the taxpayer, the bills he run up for the taxpayer, and where he's been. And the list of the countries where he's been is Bahrain lots of times, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and so on. He hasn't been to, I mean, he's making deals, trade deals. You would think he might go to democratic countries which are similar to Britain and where the trade deal might be easy to secure. No, not a word of it. Off he goes to places, as you say, with golf courses, or where there are very rich people who are very happy to engage with another royal family and no doubt give him something to take home. Because that's what happened, of course. He received lots of gifts and made quite a lot of personal wealth out of those contacts. And there's no question that he benefited from that, but it's a much more difficult question to answer whether Britain benefited from it. I think it didn't. Charles actually is rumoured to have recommended, when he was being appointed, that he shouldn't be appointed as trade envoy way back in 2001 or thereabouts. And at least one ambassador wrote to the Foreign Office and said, please keep this guy away. Don't give him his job because he's associated with the wrong people and bringing Britain down.
Norman, you've written about the royal family extensively, and you've also shone a light on the shadier area of the royal family, their money, their finances, something we still don't know enough about. And I talk about all the royal family there, but to be fair, you know, people like Charles, of course, Her Majesty the Queen before him, Anne, William, all of them seem to have, you know, a decent moral compass. They have a sense of decency. Why is it that from that same family emerges Prince Andrew, and I would say now Prince Harry as well, who don't seem to have a moral compass? What is the difference between Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, and the rest of the royal family? Why is it that those two, well, let's concentrate on Andrew. Why is it that he is such a loose cannon? Why is it he has brought the family into shape? Why didn't he understand decorum or how to behave? Why is that, do you think?
Well, you're not very bright. Is one.
That's what I was getting at, actually.
That's one reason. And I think there was a sense of entitlement. I mean, all the royals have got a sense of entitlement. Sometimes it's more irritating than others, and it certainly is with Andrew. And I think he just felt he could do what he wanted. He was there for life. He was whatever he was in line to the throne, 8th in line to the throne at the moment, and he could just behave as he wanted to, and everybody else would have to put up with it. I was given a story today, actually, before this broke, about how Andrew turned up to a board meeting. He came in the room and people said hello, and he then said, allegedly, excuse me, I'm a royal, you stand up. I'll go out the door and come in again. I mean, you know, and there's another occasion, which is in my next book, where he called a chambermaid up 3 flights of stairs. He was sitting next to the window and said to this poor chambermaid, open the curtains. He was sitting next to the curtains. That's the sort of man he is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what my theory about this is, you know, Andrew's bad, Harry's bad. Being born a member of the royal family, that is an extraordinary hand to be played in life. Now, you need a level of intelligence to be able to handle that position with dignity, because if you don't have that intelligence to understand how to behave with dignity in your exalted position, you're liable to abuse it, to boss people around, to be pompous, and frankly, that's the story of Prince Andrew, isn't it?
It is absolutely the story of Prince Andrew. Now, he's got an opportunity now. I don't think he'll take it because it's not in his nature. But the opportunity for Prince Andrew now to do what John Profumo did, go back to those letters in 1963 with Mandy Rice Davis when he was exposed at that point. And what John Profumo did in 63, obviously resigned from the government at the time, was he disappeared from public life. He kept a low profile, and he did a lot of good charity work, genuinely did a lot of good charity work, and in fact got himself a CBE for his charity work 12 years later in 1975. That's the sort of thing Andrew should be doing, to try and resurrect himself while he's still alive. There's no indication he'll do that. I don't know what he's going to do. He's got a house, he used to have a house in Abu Dhabi, thanks to one of his...
he?
Yes, he has, thanks to one of the royals over there. So he may disappear over there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that about him doing altruistic charity work. Don't forget that when he sealed this dubious deal with Virginia Giuffre, saying, you accuse me of defiling you, of sexually abusing you on 3 continents. I absolutely deny this. But in order to prevent you going to court and talking about this, I'm going to give you $12 million.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying, we always have to say on shows like this, the Prince, of course, strenuously denies this. And I always say, yeah, well, if you deny it, if you didn't do it, why did you give her $12 million? That's what everybody thinks. Anyway, part of that deal, when he actually made that deal and said, I'm settling with Virginia Giuffre, he also said, by way of perhaps making good on my alleged crimes, I am now going to devote a lot of time to charities and working for the welfare of the victims of sexual abuse. That never happened, did it?
No, he was given the bum's rush, to be honest with you, by those in the sector who said, we don't want this man anywhere near us. And there, as a consequence of that, he wasn't going to be welcomed. So that's why that all died a death, to be honest with you, at that particular point. Andrew is I've never met Andrew. I've met most of the royal family, actually, but I've never met Andrew. But on the basis I've never met him, then presumably he ought to be giving me £12 million, if that's a criteria you use to give money out, having never met somebody.
I have once, very unfirm handshake. Make of that what you will.
Well, he wasn't sweating at the time.
No, of course not, because he can't sweat. You know that. But what will become of him now, Norman? What will he do for the rest of his useless life?
It depends on his position. I mean, he hasn't apologised today. Let's be quite clear about that. He's not apologised. He's not shown any remorse.
Yeah, you're right.
He's not said I got things wrong. No, he's just said the bare minimum to recognise that he has been resigned. That's the truth of the matter.
And last point, really, the royal family, admire them as we all do, of course. They are ruthless in their lust for survival, aren't they?
Yes.
And what's happened here, in my view, tell me what you think, but Andrew will not have done this willingly. He will not have gone to the king and say, I think, Charlie, I ought to do the decent thing. Charlie and William will have told him, you do this and you do it now.
Yes.
This is an example of how the royal family is liable to become extremely ruthless when it comes to its own survival, right?
It's a survival instinct, and it's in their DNA that the royal family has to carry on. That's they can't possibly end up with a republic at some point. I noticed in the papers last week, A.N. Wilson wrote a piece saying this is pretty close to getting a republic if he carries on like this. I think it was a slight hyperbole, but nevertheless, it's an element of truth that if so much builds up, then people say, well, what do we want the royal family for? And that was, that's being said more and more, to be honest with you. The level of support now is down from 86% in 1987, I think it was, down to 50% now. It's a big drop in a relatively short period of time. And Charles will be aware of that, no doubt. And, and man overboard is probably a way to try and make sure that the damage is limited.
Man overboard, yeah. So, excuse for a man overboard. A last question, we're going off piece slightly. Why was it that the King Charles, just before I believe he became ascended to the throne, why did he sell Highgrove, his country home, to the Duchy of Cornwall for a vast amount of money. Well, what was that all about?
Well, when he was Duke of Cornwall, that was one of his titles. When he was Prince of Wales, he was Duke of Cornwall, as William is now. And at that point, he had a circular arrangement whereby he paid rent to the Duchy of Cornwall for Highgrove, because the Duchy of Cornwall doesn't pay corporation tax or capital gains tax, although he calls it a quote private estate, which it isn't. Then the consequence of that was that the money just came back to him in a kind of circular tour without any tax being deducted. Well, obviously, when he was going to come to the throne, and William would then become the Duke of Cornwall, then a different arrangement had to be reached whereby he could keep the property. That's the reason for it.
There's a lot that we ought to know about royal finances, isn't there?
There is, and that's a wonderful link, Kevin. Thank you very much for me to say that my book called...
That's why I did it, Norman. Go on, tell us about your book. Go on.
Royal Mint National Debt, which is a study of royal finances, which isn't a pretty sight, to be honest with you. And that's coming out sometime in November.
Okay.
And obviously it goes into goes to matters in detail. I'm signing a thing off, finally, over the weekend, which means I can just manage to get Andrew's latest position into the book.
Excellent. Well, listen, when the book comes out, come on the show. One last question. Andrew says, I will put my duty to my family and country first. I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, he hasn't done it so far, so I'm not sure
exactly.
I should start now. But I mean, perhaps he had his arm up his back when he said that.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, listen, when your book comes out, Norman, come on the show. We'll have a chat about it.
Thank you.
Very good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Pete, what do you make of all this? What's your take on it?
Well, it's quite interesting, really, because his time as the trade envoy really was the worst decision you could ever do. You've given this guy unparalleled access to foreign dignitaries under the state's name, acting supposedly in the British interest, and he just did it to line his own pockets. He met every rogue and wrong-un you can name, and he put them in his phone contacts. It was absolutely extraordinary. He basically...
Phone contacts,
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like with the old Rolodex thing. I mean, it's just crazy.
And was it don't forget that the Queen, when he married Fergie all those years ago, gifted them this awful Sunninghill, which they called South York, didn't they? Because it was like the South Fork Ranch in Dallas. Hideous sort of red brick, vast sprawling mess of the mansion, which they moved out of and then couldn't sell. And then all of a sudden it was wasn't it the Kazakhstan billionaire?
Yeah, it was the son of the billionaire. He's a Kazakhstan dictator called I've got to butcher this, Nursultan Nazarbayev. Yeah, so they overpaid by £3 million. Funny that, isn't it? This is the thing. I think Norman's book will be very interesting because it is all the kind of, it just smells bad. Yeah, like it's you can't really prove there's something wrong.
Well, they put it on. You're right. They put that place on the market for £12 million, and as I recall, it went like a year, 2 years. They couldn't sell it. Then all of a sudden, this Kazakhstan billionaire turns up and buys it for £3 million over the list price. Yeah. What's that about, folks?
Yeah, and then he also did the same thing when he became friends with Gaddafi's son as well. There was a financial and business and property seems to be his thing, and like all these deals. But yet, it was the WikiLeaks cable breach that kind of showed that the US was sick of him, and that's one of the major reasons that he was given the boot in 2011.
He became a living embarrassment for this country because he was quite palpably, obviously abusing this position that he held as a trade envoy for this country. He just abused it. He flew mainly to places with golf courses. Mainly, as Norman Baker was just explaining, to countries that wouldn't be any use to us at all, but they were full of rich, dodgy people that he cozied up to line his own pockets. I mean, the man has been a disaster pretty much his whole life. Respect for his time in the Falklands and all that, but remember, well, you're too young to remember. You're too young to remember the Randy Andy Stark days. Going out with a porn star and all that. He has done nothing but besmirched the name of the royal family. And today, I mean, this does not end or cease their contact with him or their connection with him, but they're doing their best.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. In this statement, he says, "We have decided," as though he's like Like he's dragging the family into it. Like it's not.
The royal we.
The royal we.
Yeah, hey mate, you can't use the royal we anymore. You really can't.
Yeah, because he did the same thing in 2011 when he said, "We have decided I'm stepping back by mutual agreement."
Yeah.
Like again, he's not held accountable at any point in his life for anything.
Exactly right. Listen, we're going to go to break now. More on Prince Andrew when we come back. Get your calls in. We'll talk about him. Maybe talk to Roy in Hampshire, who wants me to stop slagging Prince Andrew off. Well, Roy, here's my answer to your question. Stop slagging Prince Andrew off. No. We'll be back in a moment.
One thing that I think that one concern that people do have is about, you know, the wider capability of espionage that comes from the super embassy, right? And that's on these alleged cables, which we haven't had confirmation of their existence yet. So it would be really, really good if the intelligence services would give us their assessment on the record of what they think those are. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not possible because it's classified, but it seems pretty important to this decision if they think that the risk can be managed or not at all. If they don't think the risk can be managed, we shouldn't be having this conversation at all.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We've dropped everything. We are exclusively focusing on the decline and fall, the disastrous downfall of Prince Andrew. We can still call him Prince Andrew. You can't call him the Duke of York anymore because he isn't the Duke of York. He's no longer the Earl of Inverness and no longer the Baron of
Killyleagh.
Killyleagh. Okay, I'll never get my head around that one. Let's talk to royal historian Daniel Britton. Daniel, thank you for joining us. Is there any precedent for such a fall from grace for a member of the royal family?
There has been, Kevin, because 106 years ago, 3 members of the royal family were deprived of their royal titles. That's because they'd actually gone to live in Germany, and one was actually a German officer.
Right.
And, of course, we were in the middle of the First World War.
Yeah.
And so they lost it then in the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917 got rid of the Duke of Albany, the Duke of Cumberland, and his eldest son, who was heir to the title.
Right.
And that's because they were essentially aiding and abetting the enemy, it was said. the Duke of Albany went on actually to be a Nazi in the
so they deserved it. But let's talk about the Duke of York now. I mean, in modern history, this is pretty.
You said we could no longer call him the Duke of York. Actually, as far as I can see, Kevin, he is still the Duke of York.
He's just relinquished
Parliament. Requires an act of Parliament.
Okay. So he's essentially saying, I won't use that title, but effectively it will need an act of Parliament. I suspect that the people will require that, and the King may instigate that, because, you know, this guy, let me know what you think, Daniel, but I think he deserves his fate, don't you?
That's very much your view, Kevin.
You don't think he deserves it? You don't think he deserves it?
But I tell you one thing, that you mentioned his subsidiary titles a moment ago,
yes.
Earl of Inverness, Baron Killyleagh,
yes.
County Down. Now, in 2022, all those people acted against Prince Andrew. The Duke of York took away his freedom of the city of York. The city of Inverness said he should be deprived of titles, and he no longer wanted him to come to their city anymore as Earl of Inverness. And actually the same happened in Killyleagh in Northern Ireland, in County Down. Again, there were feelings there that he should no longer have that title. So this has been quite long-standing. This is the culmination, really, of a process, Kevin.
Yeah. Assess, I know you've got to go fairly soon, Daniel, assess the magnitude of this crisis for the royal family, because it is a crisis, isn't it?
It's huge, but maybe this will now put a stop to it.
Yes.
I think that's why we've seen the action we've seen today. It was just going on, and the increasing number of revelations. The particularly bad thing was that on the Newsnight interview, whatever it was, in 2019, Prince Andrew said that he'd given up seeing Epstein at a certain date, and then it's emerged just very recently that emails were exchanged shortly afterwards. I think that's been the final nail in the coffin, really.
And going forward, presumably they'll try to cut Andrew out of the picture generally. I mean, how damaged have the royal family been by this, by Prince Andrew and indeed Fergie, who's also been proved to be a liar as well? And what do you feel about their prospects of recovering from this scandal?
Well, nothing has ever landed on the desks of other members of the royal family. This has been very much Prince Andrew. I think this will put an end to it. We won't see him much in the future, if at all. Certainly on no royal occasions. And he won't be coming to funerals, I suspect, in the future, or weddings where he'd be seen on TV. It is possible he'd be somewhere where he can't be seen. This will, I think, draw quite a big line under it, Kevin.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. Really good to talk to you. That's a royal historian, Daniel Britton. Refusing to say, by the way, you know, whether or not he deserves his fate. He does deserve it.
Of course he does. I mean, I actually do think there should be an
by the way, I just think Daniel's a nice man.
Yes,
he wasn't avoiding the question. He's not quite so vituperative as we are.
But I do. He is perfectly right that it's the Deprivations Act and it takes an Act of Parliament. I think we should have that Act of Parliament.
I agree.
I completely agree with him.
Actually, that's a good question to throw out to you. Daniel Britton, the royal historian, just pointing out that actually, for him to fully lose his title, officially, it does require an Act of Parliament. He said, I won't use it anymore. But do you feel, folks, because I do, and I think Pete does, I think we should have that Act of Parliament. We should officially take that title away from him. Otherwise, if you like, the boil is not lanced.
Agreed. And if we could actually hold somebody accountable for their actions in this country for once. It's the closest we actually get to firing somebody.
Good point. Yeah,
we could actually bring back accountability and say no. Yeah. That's what we could do as a nation. That's what that Act of Parliament would be. A real line in the sand of where we could turn the tide and hold people accountable for their despicable behaviour.
Yeah, that's what... But both him and Fergie doesn't matter as much as him, but both of them have behaved despicably. Both of them. You know, I don't talk to Jeffrey Epstein anymore. The moment I found out he was a paedophile, I kind of... liars! Yeah. Liars! And I'll tell you why they didn't cut Jeffrey Epstein out of their sordid little lives. It was because of this, because the guy was a billionaire. And these people are, those two are financial leeches who have spent their entire lives trying to scrounge money off very rich people by the use of their royal status. So, Act of Parliament, folks. Should there be an Act of Parliament to officially deprive Prince Andrew of his title, Duke of York? Because as royal historian Daniel Britton was just pointing out, even though he said, right, OK, I'm no longer the Duke of York, in actual fact, it requires an Act of Parliament to officially take that title away from him. Pete is right. There's not enough accountability. People don't, in this country now, modern Britain, people don't get punished for their sins. You know, Angela Rayner will be back in the cabinet soon. Trust me, sure as night follows day. Do you see what I'm saying? So, Act of Parliament to take this title away from him once and for all. What do you think? 0344499 1000. Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, welcome back. We're covering the big story, the royal story, the downfall of Prince Andrew, who has dropped his title, the Duke of York, in disgrace, in utter disgrace and shame. Does require, we were just finding out, it does require actually an act of Parliament to actually officially strip him of that title, but we believe he fully deserves his fate, and I think we should have that act of Parliament. Right, I've been talking about Roy and taking his name in vain for about half an hour now, because I've got a message here where he says, stop slagging Andrew off, he served his country. Roy, hello. I just said, why can't we slag him off? Don't you think he deserves it?
No, I didn't say don't slag him off, mate. I know he's an a-hole.
See, there you go. Yeah. I said Roy of Hampshire. You know, we know Roy. He's a good guy. There you go. But, you know, yes, he served his country. Roy, it was more than 40 years ago. You can't live off that for the rest of your life.
But the thing is, Kev, he married a wrong one. All right, they had 2 lovely daughters. But she was.
Oh, well, you mean you think it's down to Fergie? Let me tell you, Roy. Let me tell you. Yes, she was a wrong un. Andrew's a wrong un too.
Yeah.
He's a wrong un. It's a good name. It's a good. They are both wrong uns.
Yeah, but Kev, when he was doing all these nasty deeds, where was his detective? Where was his bodyguard?
Well, it's not their job. I mean, it's not their job to, in any way, tell the prince how to behave. All of these people have detectives. The detectives have to keep a discreet distance, and it's not their job to tell their people the royals in their charge what to do and what not to do.
As for Sarah, mate, I knew her old man.
What, Sarah Ferguson? Oh, what was his name? Ron, Major Ron.
Major Ron, mate. Yeah, I used to live in.
He was a wrong un too. He was a wrong un. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, if you know what I mean.
Well, he used to go to that up market.
The place where favours could be obtained. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But you know, as I say, you know, nobody's. It's a bit like Harry, Prince Harry. Nobody would criticise them in any way for bravely serving their country, but. You know, you can't live off that forever, and if you behave badly after that, you know, that doesn't really count. And by the way, I'm not going to go into details, but I actually know a little bit about what Prince Andrew actually did in the Falklands, and I don't think we should fall down in amazement about his heroics down there. I know what he got up to. I know someone who served with him, so there you go. That's just something that I happen to know.
As for calling it, he was the Queen's son, mate, you know, and our old Queen, she served us well all her life.
Yeah, but that doesn't, you know, and I feel terribly sorry for her. Great woman, and he has dragged her name and the name of the royal family into the mud.
Yeah,
that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. Roy, good to talk to you. I knew you'd be on the right side in the end. Good to talk to you, mate. Always a pleasure. Roy in Hampshire. Yeah, that's a point, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I think
you asked a good question about why is it always one. Like, you know, everybody else seems to be dedicated to serving, but, you know, they accept the privilege. They might be a bit pompous, but, you know, that kind of comes with the territory. But there's always one, isn't there, that kind of just goes against it all.
It's the same with Harry.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It's the same with Harry. As I say, as far the way I see it is, if you're born and you're a member of the royal family, it is an extraordinary hand to be played in life. You have to look around you. You know, in a sense, at the moment you're born, everything is laid out. Your life is set from the moment you're. After that, so you've got this incredible position of importance, of authority, if you like, respect. Everybody's going to look up to. Everybody's going to crawl to you. Oh, hello, sir. 3 bags full, sir. And it takes a certain intelligence to handle that, you know, with dignity. Yeah. Andrew hasn't got that intelligence, nor has Harry, to be honest.
Yeah, like I said, when you read the diplomatic cables of the WikiLeaks stuff, I think he was called cocky, arrogant, and his behaviour was beyond the pale you'd expect of a British royal, was one of the quotes used. Yeah. You know, this is the nature of the person. It's interesting with the Fergie thing, how horrible people seem to, like, attract each other. You know, they always seem to gravitate towards each other, and they just make each other worse, not better.
There was that experience. There's always someone for someone.
Yeah. They should stay far apart.
Actually, you know, they were made for each other.
Yeah, they were, by the looks of
it. But Norman Baker's story, I've heard similar stories about him demanding respect. Call me sir, stand up when I enter the room, and so on and so forth. And it's like, you know, I'd like to be there one day. I mean, he won't be able to do that anymore, but I'd love to be in that room, stand up when I come in the room. Here, how about this? No.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets me that we thought it was a good idea to give that guy an envoy role. You know, give him, he went to over 70 countries. I'd love to know the air miles he actually racked up in there. What was the figure?
It was infinitesimal, or rather infinity, not infinitesimal, the opposite of infinitesimal.
I mean,
it was enormous air miles that we paid for, and he was being paid, and he abused that position.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, he's an idiot.
Yes,
he's a massive, great oaf and an idiot who could have carried on doing that job if he'd have just done it with a certain amount of decorum. Instead, he used it to outrageously and obviously line his own pocket and play a lot of golf.
Yeah, he was caught apparently mocking the American investigations of corruption into him, go about how useless they must be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're saying that, I mean, how you're right. The level of intelligence of that man is low.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's dumb and then there's Prince Andrew.
Very diplomatic way of putting it.
I'm trying to put it nicely.
Way of putting
See, that's the level of diplomat he should have been.
Indeed. Now, let's go to break. When we come back, let's take some more calls and let's carry on talking about our anti-hero, the former Duke of York, now only known to me and Pete as Mr. Windsor. You can call him Prince Andrew if you want, but I ain't going to anymore. He's just a bloke. By the way, you know when you see all these pictures, like I was saying earlier, these pictures of him, you always see these pictures of him in his Range Rover driving out of Windsor Great Park. Where's he going?
Yeah.
Where's he going? You know, honestly.
I know it's crazy, really, but on the detective one, what they were raising, the reason that they don't report is because they need to have the trust of the person they're protecting. So you can't have them kind of spying on them because then they try to ditch them, and that's more dangerous.
Well, I sort of vaguely know Ken Wolfe, who used to be Diana's security detective at Copper, and you know. He just says it's not their job. So if they're in charge of a royal, I'm not saying any of them do this, but they want to go to a brothel or something, the detectives just have to go with them.
Yes.
You know, and it is not their job to say I don't think this is wise.
Yeah.
Because that's stepping across
Beyond,
the line. But they always have to be there.
Yeah,
They always have to be there. And I suspect guarding Andrew probably led the detectives into pretty shady places. It is not good, folks. So we've got about 15 minutes to go after this break coming up. We'll take some calls. Me and Pete will discuss it. I should say at 9 o'clock, it's my show, What Just Happened. That takes place after the news. But for the time being, we're going to stick with this massive story of the day. Prince Andrew, or the Duke of York, is no more. Technically, you can call him Prince Andrew if you want to. I don't think we should even have to call him that. He's gone. He's gone. He will be photographed by the paps. He's suddenly going to become big news for the photographers because we're going to want to see what he gets up to. But officially, you won't see him in public with the royal family ever again. So Christmas at Sandringham, he won't be going to church. If there's any funerals or kind of royal gatherings, he won't be there. He can't be there. Don't forget, he's been in disgrace for a long time. Wasn't even allowed to go to his daughter or be photographed at his daughter's wedding, was he?
I got to say the king was furious and has done a lot to try and push him away. And I think you're right. The camel finally gave up.
Exactly.
Poor camel.
Right. Exactly right. And make no mistake, folks. You know, he said, I've decided to step down for my duty to my family and my country. Yeah, right. He would have dug his heels in and he'd have fought to the last moment for this not to happen. I guarantee you, but the King and William have said, you do it and you do it now. He's had to do this. Extraordinary story. We'll talk more about it when we come back after this break.
One thing that I think that one concern that people do have is about, you know, the wider capability of espionage that comes from this super embassy, right? And that's on these alleged cables, which we haven't had confirmation of their existence yet. So it would be really, really good if the intelligence services would give us their assessment on the record of what they think those are. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not possible because it's classified, but it seems pretty important to this decision if they think that the risk can be managed or not at all. If they don't think the risk can be managed, we shouldn't be having this conversation at all.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're still talking about Prince Andrew, the ex-Duke of York, who's had to give up all his titles and everything else. We'll never see him again, at least officially. He's had to quit the royal family, in essence, in total disgrace. He's been in disgrace for some years, ever since the disastrous interview 2019 with Emily Maitlis on Newsnight, of course. Let's quickly talk to Christine in Inverness. Christine, you've lost your Earl of Inverness, I guess.
I know, isn't it so sad? Yeah. I mean, we'll be holding wakes and all the rest of it in Inverness. No, I can tell you that anybody who's sufficiently interested feels relieved.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And the nasty odour will be departing.
Yeah. When you said you'll be holding wakes, you were being ironic, of course. I mean, so the people of Inverness probably feel the same as the people of the city of York, who have been campaigning for ages to take this title away, to take that away. So you're relieved, Christine, yes?
Absolutely. There's been no campaign as such because he only used that title when he was in Scotland, and although he came to Scotland privately and used it then, you know, it's not nearly so high profile as Duke of York. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, it's better to be rid of it, to be perfectly honest.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, so as you say, nobody ever called him the Earl of Inverness, I guess, except for you people in Inverness. But you're relieved, just as the people of York are relieved that he is no longer associated with you. I mean, he really has, you know, I don't want to dance too much on a guy's grave, but he really has, well, I do actually. He has disgraced himself, though, hasn't he, Christine?
Yes, well, you know, Kevin, the man would not have been able to withstand a cross-examination in a court of law. I mean, I have met him in the past. Yes. And I didn't find him particularly standoffish. He seemed to me to be very solitary. He didn't seem to, you know, mix very much. He just, you know, was pretty much on his own. And you'll love this one, Kevin. Yeah. A long, long time ago, my husband made a documentary on Gordonston School. And that's actually how I came to be in contact with Prince Andrew, because he was interviewed for the programme. And in those days, it was considered quite an accolade for a BBC producer to be given the front page of the Radio Times.
Yeah.
So David was presented...
Those are the days.
David was... I'm giving away my... He was presented with this front page of the Radio Times, beautifully mounted in frame.
Yeah, go on.
Presented by Radio Times, and the picture on the front was a picture of Andrew, looking quite handsome, I must admit.
Yeah, no, he was a good-looking guy when he was younger.
But what do I do with it? Well, it's not hanging up now.
I think you ceremonially burn it, Christine. Or keep it as a... It will be actually, seriously, don't do that. Keep it. It'll be an interesting memento. Christine, really interesting call. Thank you very much for ringing. Christine in Inverness. Let's talk to Simon in Sevenoaks, shall we? Hello, Simon.
Kevin, a pleasure to speak to you.
You too. You think this is a red herring? That's what I've got...
Well, not so much a red herring. I mean, this whole question about Epstein and everything like that. But if you look at the people that have been outed for Epstein's indiscretions, they're all British.
Well, that's not technically true. I think you'll find Bill Clinton maybe in the mix. There's quite a few Americans as well. Donald Trump's not exactly out of the picture either. You know, so they're not all British. That's not true. There's a lot of Americans involved.
Yeah, but these Americans are not facing judicial review. I mean, one thing you got to bear in mind about Prince Andrew.
Andrew's not facing judicial.
He is the favourite son of our life.
Yeah, but he's not facing judicial review.
No, but he was subject to legal proceedings, and do you think?
Would
face a fair trial from a New York jury? Well, I don't think so at all.
Well, it was a civil case.
Yeah,
it was a civil case.
Which is on the balance of probabilities. And his late mother was dying of cancer at the time, God rest her soul.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a veteran. I mean, I respect the man because he served his country.
Yeah, but we've been talking about this. You can't live on that forever, Simon. You know, it was more than 40 years ago. One way of putting it, yeah.
No, the man's a buffoon. He's a self-entitled
Agreed.
buffoon.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've got to look at his upbringing. You've got to look at the circumstances surrounding it.
Well, the other members of the royal family, with the possible exception...
Has it been proven in a court of law? I don't think it has.
Listen, no. Simon. Virginia Giuffre accused him of sexually abusing her on 3 different continents. He denies this. He denies this to this day. Me, and I think probably nearly every person on Earth goes, well, if you didn't do it, why did you give her $12 million?
His mum was dying with cancer.
Oh, come on. He took the money from his mother. His mother had to give it to him so he could pay that girl off. Don't tell me he was trying to be nice to the Queen. He took 12 million quid off her. Huh?
It hasn't been tested in the court of law, though, Kevin, has it?
It was just so it didn't carry on in the courts. That was the big thing.
Simon, I'm really glad you called because you're the only person on the face of the earth who believes him when he says that he did not sexually abuse Virginia Giuffre on 3 different...
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So you do believe he did it?
No, we have a principle.
I don't care about the principle. We have a principle. This is the principle we have. When somebody gives somebody $12 million to shut the hell up and not go to court, that you tend not to believe them when they say, oh, I didn't do this. That's the principle that I'm sticking to.
I believed him, but let's have categorical proof.
Oh, no, we don't need categorical proof. We know what we think, Simon.
You don't know.
Oh, yes, I damn well do.
This is the thing.
Oh,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is they gave him the money because he would be that bad on the stand that it would lead to a criminal prosecution more than likely. That's why they did it, to stop him behaving like he was behaving on the stand.
Yeah, but
it was a
prosecution under the US legal system, which, to be fair, he's very part of that.
Honestly, Simon, stop making excuses for this oath.
No,
you said, his mum was dying of cancer. He went to her and said, give me $12 million, will you? How do you think that helped her while she was not feeling too well? How do you think that helped her?
How do you think the newspaper reports of her favourite son being dragged across the
the newspaper reports were reporting the truth.
Were they?
Yes, they were.
We don't know that because it wasn't tested in the court of law, was it?
That doesn't mean it's not true.
It was still tested in a court of law. It was a civil case. It was in a civil situation.
Which is on the balance of probability.
No. Not in America.
So Simon,
that's not how the American system works.
Exactly right. So Simon, do you believe him then when he says that he didn't sexually abuse Virginia Giuffre on 3 continents? Do you believe him?
I'm not sure. My mind is
You
open.
are the only person I've ever met who has any doubts about that. Congratulations. Unusual position to take.
Kevin. I wasn't convinced.
You weren't convinced?
No, I wasn't.
What would you need to convince you? Like $24 million?
This is the criminal weight of proof, isn't it?
Oh, come on. Come on.
Well, what's the reasonable doubt there, then?
Yeah, what's
the unreasonable thing?
Yeah, were you born yesterday, Simon?
I'm 100% convinced that he actually committed a criminal offence.
Yeah. Yes. Why do you think he's stepping down, then?
because of
because of the sex scandal, because of Jeffrey Epstein.
Before you bite me head off, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, why do you think he's stepping down?
I think he's stepping back because the monarchy is under pressure.
Yeah, because of his disgraceful behaviour. Yes?
He's always had disgraceful behaviour.
That's all right then. Why didn't you say?
Because there's a difference between a financial dodgy thing and then this. There's a fundamental difference when you're on a list of with these kind of people and lining your own pockets. That's the difference.
Listen.
Then why? Explain to me why all these highfalutin American dignitaries are not facing criminal prosecution.
Well, he wasn't facing...
Ghislaine Maxwell. Why is
Simon, listen, it's really good to talk to you seriously, and you're entitled to your view. I think you should go away, really read up about this story, go through a period of reflection and come back to me. Because honestly, you're not across it. You're not across it, Simon. Simon, you are not across the story. You really are not. You're not across the story. So it's been good to talk to you. I want you to read about this story and then come back to me and tell me, I'm sorry, Kevin, I was wrong. Simon, good to talk to you. Simon in Seven Oaks there.
Oh, wow.
It's funny, you can just have a laugh in these situations, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, that is the question. We're about to go to my show, by the way, what just happened after the news. But, why would you give someone $12 million for something you didn't do?